This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you it's only the beginning. I mean that literally. Welcome in. We are live here on this Thursday. Great to be with you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Make sure you check out all the great shows here on the Locked On Sports Atlanta Network. Give you an update on the Braves and the trade deadline. One target off the market already for the Atlanta Braves, and where sports and politics are forced to intersect. We'll get to that coming up before the end of the show. This segment brought to you by our good friends at BlueNile.com. And we'll start with the Atlanta Falcons because yesterday was day one of training camp, and it was a big day for a lot of different names. And look, that's why I say literally it's only the beginning. Let's not get too excited. They're in shorts. They're not even in pads. There's not much to make of anything, but it's good to see football back, right? Like it's always fun to see football back. A couple of notes that many Falcons reporters have brought up, whether it is Michael Rothstein of ESPN, Josh Kendall, The Athletic, folks over at the Falcoholic. I think everybody kind of was on the same page about the observations from day one, but I'll share my thoughts as well. The quarterback competition that was supposed to be between Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder ended very quickly as Marcus was announced the day one starter. So he's going to take all the reps with the ones, obviously. And I don't think this is a shock to anybody. I don't think this is a big surprise. I'll tell you why I think a quarterback competition would have been good for the entire team, not just the quarterbacks in just a few minutes here. But, the observations from yesterday were that Marcus Mariota had good chemistry with Kyle Pitts, and I think that's a good sign. Although, again, I did see a couple of throws from Mariota that were a lot higher than you'd want them to be. But considering the size of Kyle Pitts, it's not a big deal. But one of the weaknesses of Mariota is his accuracy. So it's good that they are able to start to get on the same page early. In fact, there was a big play to Kyle Pitts during the practice. So I think that is good. And I think that this is a start that was necessary, right? Let's not stumble out of the gate here. Let's see what happens when they put pads on and everything else. But that's why I say try not to make too much of this whole thing when it comes to, what you're seeing at practice every day. While the quarterback competition is closed, the open competition will be on the offensive line. You saw a bunch of different, pairings or matchups or whatever you want to call it, rotating in between Caleb McCary, German Iafetti, Brad Dahlman, and Matt Hennessy. So, you saw a bunch of these things go back and forth yesterday, and I think that's good because, honestly, they need the best five guys on the line to play, and I don't think there's any debate otherwise about that. And if they can't get the best five guys or can't figure out who the best five guys are, it's time to start adding some more pieces to this whole deal. Here's why a quarterback competition is something that can benefit a lot of other people, not just the quarterbacks. But first, a word from our friends at BlueNile.com. Folks, you've heard me tell you about BlueNile.com before because whether you're looking for that perfect engagement ring or that fine jewelry piece and the best way to say I love you, BlueNile.com is the place to go because you can build that engagement ring of her dreams. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. And Blue Nile's bench jewelers will be there to handcraft a perfect engagement ring, and each ring is one of a kind. Now, if you're looking for a different type of piece of jewelry, that special moment, that way to say I love you or thank you, whatever it may be, but you're having trouble choosing that piece, well, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift for every single budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more, and this podcast exclusive includes engagement rings. Use the code Locked On. That's Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and is in discreet packaging. So when it arrives, it won't give away what's inside. Shop stress free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right. What's the one good thing about a quarterback competition that sort of takes the eyes uh, off the quarterbacks? And that's the fact that there is a quarterback competition to talk about because it's all we want to talk about. You know what I haven't heard a lot about? You know what I haven't read a lot about, comparatively speaking, to other teams? First round pick Drake London, second round pick Arnold Ebiketie. Like that, when you have a quarterback competition, it's all anybody wants to know because it's the biggest question surrounding a football team. And so naturally, everybody's going to want to know about, and that's where all the attention is going to be. And then what happens is you allow those guys, those other guys, and the Troy Andersons of the world to sort of develop in the shadows, right? In the background where no one knows, and we're not focusing on the mistakes, and we're not putting pressure on young players to figure this all out in a short amount of time because we're desperate to have them be good, because we want to turn this around, and you want to start winning football games again. All those things sort of get quieted down when there's a quarterback competition because the only focus and the main focus is the quarterbacks, right? Like that's just kind of the way it goes. There's no escaping that when it comes to a quarterback competition. So I'm surprised a little bit that Arthur Smith was so quick to at least not let it play, at least let it play out for a little bit. Like I thought he would, you know, get you closer and then make the starter the announcement like prior to the first preseason game, so you get through kind of 2 weeks of camp and you see what it is. But nonetheless, I trust Arthur Smith and his decision making, and I trust him as the coach of this team. But that's the other thing that we're going to get a real good chance to do throughout camp and into the preseason is evaluate Arthur Smith as a head coach. Let's see what he's building. Let's see what he's putting together. Let's figure out if the reasons he was brought here and hired here are going to come to fruition. I've said this before, guys, overall about this season. Remember, they won 7 games last year with Matt Ryan. If they can win one less game with arguably a worse roster and a much worse quarterback, that speaks volumes to the coaching staff. That is the feather in the cap they're looking for. If they get to 6 wins, that is a big, big, huge lift for Arthur Smith and company. I don't think you can deny that. I don't think you can underscore it. It won't look that way to the national media. It won't look that way to a lot of people who are just fans and just want to see W's and your team in the playoffs and everything else. But you peel back a couple of layers, you realize how hard it's going to be to get this team to 6 wins against this schedule this year with this roster and this amount of dead cap space. That is a coaching job not to be underscored at all. It is a real good coaching job, and it should be treated like such. So I am, again, a proponent of Arthur Smith. I'm excited to see him do what he's able to do, and I think it's super, super important that he has a sort of real good building block year. One final note from camp, by the way, there was an update from Arthur Smith on Dion Jones. And really the update is that, well, we don't know anything yet. We'll have more clarity in a week when he starts to work out and is trying to see where he is, get off the pup list. And again, I thought yesterday when we found out that he was one of the first people at camp, one of two reasons. Either trying to put on a good face, maybe he's going to be here longer than we thought, or let me get as healthy as I can, as quick as I can, and get shipped out of here. Like, I think those are the two end states for Dion Jones. So from that standpoint, it's one of those things where the sooner he gets back, we'll get a better idea of what the Falcons want to do with him. Because if he comes back and is healthy and still isn't practicing, that means they're moving on from him. Or at least don't want him to get hurt in training camp because they still want him to have some value. So even though right now he has no value. All right, coming up next, the Atlanta Braves are struggling. At least one of them is. I think you know what I'm talking about. That's next, A to Z. Here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.